Hi everyone, I'm Monique and today I'm creating a layout for Lottie Loves Paper using the Pretty Bunnies and Bloom collection from Simple Stories. I'm making use of a fab sketch from Lottie Loves Paper. They have a weekly sketch challenge over on their Facebook group, and I have grabbed a sheet of Vicky Bouton's Foundations paper, which is going to be my background. I've cut apart a couple of the Simple Stories Bunnies and Bloom cut apart sheets, which I've just gone through and selected the ones that I'd like to use. And now I've taken this gorgeous plaid paper and I'm cutting off two thin strips, which I'm going to be using at the top and the bottom. I'm going to be tearing away a bit of the top and the bottom, just so that you can see that peeking out a little bit. I've decided to cut a little bit of the white cardstock away. It's quite thick, so not so easy to tear. It is a mixed media paper, which takes water and media beautifully, but not quite as easy to tear. So I've just cut a little slither away, and then I'm ruffling it up with my scissors just to give a really rough edge, kind of so that it looks like it's been torn and weathered a little bit, with that beautiful pastel plaid peeking through the back. I'm then going in with my Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher and just stapling it down, just to keep it flat, but then also to add a little bit of extra texture. So now what I want to do is tear a strip of this paper to be kind of like my foundation across the background, but as you can see, it wasn't tearing very well. I think I was going against the grain, so I ended up grabbing my metal ruler just to help me tear that. I still want the rough textured edges, and it's mostly going to be covered, so it's fine that it's not just a freehand torn strip. And now I'm coming in just with those elements. I've decided just to use 4 across. The sketch has 5 squares going across. The sketch actually is vertical, but I've decided to make it horizontal. I flipped it around. And I've just shown you some thread there, and I've decided to stitch along there just to add a little bit of texture. And now I'm just making some marks around those pieces and have quickly added some stitches. I wish it was that quick in real life, but it took quite a while. Now I'm just pulling the loose threads at the back just to kind of tighten them, and then I'm just sealing them off with some washi tape just to ensure that they don't come loose. When I sewed, I did kind of go backwards and forwards at the start and finish of each row, but I find adding the washi tape just gives me peace of mind and just kind of keeps it neat. And I've trimmed off all those edges, and now I'm going back in again and placing all my pieces together. So I've picked out some lavender twine just to add in there for some extra texture. I do love how the stitching and the thread and the roughed edges just add extra dimension to the page. So I've distressed all the edges with my scissors and just getting the final positioning right. Now I've got my craft foam, which I'm adding to the back of some of my elements that I'm putting along the center. I've used a wet glue. I'm still trying to find an adhesive that I really, really like. Sometimes I find the tape runner doesn't stick well. It sticks well to start with, but things start to come loose. So I'm just experimenting with different glues and adhesives over all the layouts that I've been making recently. So the one thing I don't really like about wet glue is that it makes my paper look a little bit warped while I'm working with it. It takes the crispness away from it, but I do like the fact that it sticks, which is always a good thing.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights.
Now here I am coming in. Something that I really like to do is just to add a little bit of white tissue paper behind the photos, just to give it a little bit of a border, but nothing too hectic. So I really do love adding tissue paper, and I do that quite frequently with my layouts. I'm just trying out a few different pieces to see if any work as a border. I don't end up using any of these, but I do add a couple things later on.
My head high, even if the sky is falling down.
Now I've recently got these new watercolor paints, and they're really glittery, and I just love those pastel shades. They work so beautifully with the colors of this collection. So I'm just adding them in. It's quite tricky to capture it on camera, but they are just so glittery, and I've just gone with blue by the blue tag, aqua green by the green, yellow, and then pink, and kind of just blending them into each other, making a rainbow, my favorite. So I'm just going over the stitching there. I love how the stitching just intensifies the colors when it soaks up the paint. So that is really something that I like a lot. And slowly there you can start to see the colors starting to show through.
Won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high.
And there I'm done, and I'm not sure that my camera can quite capture the gorgeous shimmer of those watercolors. So there's me deciding what to do with that bow. I've decided I don't like the lavender, and I'm going in with some pink instead, and I'm going to add a little bow, which I think is more subtle and quite pretty, and I feel works a little bit better with the layout. And then I've got this beautiful perspective from Bramble Fox, and I just automatically thought that this would be the perfect one. But you'll see that I do go and move it about quite a bit, and I'm not quite happy with that one. So we'll see as the layout progresses. But right now I'm just going in with some foam squares just to lift my photos up, and I'm using my square ruler just to make sure that the photos are straight. I've made the strip of cut apart elements along the back wonky, so they're all a little bit haphazard, so I wanted the photos to be straight. And now I've come in with these beautiful flowers. If you pop along to my Instagram, you'll be able to see a caught on craft cam how I made these, but basically what I did is I used 3 of Vicky Bouton's new colour study floral stamps, and I stamped them tone on tone, so I used a yellow on top of the yellow paper, pink on pink. Then I cut them all out, I layered them up, and then I did a whole bunch of French knots in the centre and finished them off with a little bit of glitter. So as you can see, I've taken off the springtime perspective, and I've come in with a couple little bunnies and a new title, also from Bramble Fox, which says Brighter Days, and I think that works beautifully. I think maybe the shade of yellow from the springtime perspective was just not quite the right one to match the other yellows on the page, and so I think maybe that's why it was bothering me. And here I'm just going in with some clear silicone glue just to stick down my flowers. There's quite a bit of thread at the back of each of those florals, so just a normal adhesive wasn't going to work, so I needed something a little bit more bulky to kind of go in between those stitches.
And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes.
So here I am coming in with a little tag from the Simple Stories ephemera pack, and it just tucks in there. It's really subtle, but I think that finishes that off nicely. And then I've got a little blue circle element also from the Bunnies in Bloom collection, and I've really totally covered up that yellow tag that's there. But it all works, and I've also covered up most of my stitching. But sometimes these things happen. You start off with an idea in your mind, and then it evolves and changes, and that's okay. I do like the little bit of texture that you can see peeking out here and there from those stitches, and it all works well together. So I'm just adding 3 little perspective hearts, also from Bramble Fox, just to finish it off, and a little bunnies and bloom sticker and the date. And something I forgot to film was I used 2 Sizzix dies of little leaves and just cut out some, with my Big Shot, cut out some pretty little leaves just to add in the last finishing touches. And here I've just got a few close-up pictures for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some inspiration in today's video and you get to create a bit of joy for yourself too. Bye!